Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of COS Live. I'm Rita Peters. I'm the Senior Vice President for Legislative Affairs with Convention of States, and I'm excited about today's show. I think you're really going to be inspired and encouraged. Today's special guest is Mary Jo Wedding. She's the State Director for Convention of States Kentucky. And we have some breaking news for you coming out of the Commonwealth of Kentucky tonight. We also have an on-the-ground field report for Convention of States from our reporter in Louisiana. But first, let's go to our Article 5 trivia giveaway with Mike Ruthenberg. Mike?
Hi, Rita. Glad to see you. And boy, what a privilege it's going to be able to hear more of Rita Peters. And keep in mind that I absolutely love Andrew. He is phenomenal. Rita is going to be anchoring the show today, and I'm here to do a brief process to bring the trivia question, give away a prize, and let you get on to an incredible show with the state director of the wonderful state of Kentucky. And you're going to hear some really innovative stuff, some ideas that maybe you're going to want to do in your state. So you're definitely going to want to tune in. But for now, let me tell you about a gift that I'm going to have for the winner of our trivia question. Now, I'm wearing a Think Outside the Swamp t-shirt, but that's not the one I want to give away today. The one I want to give away today is our Term Limits Now t-shirt to the winner. And the reason for that is because that one is so popular, especially when people go to state fairs. People see that, or to their local meetings. Maybe they have some petitions they want to get people to sign. There are so many people that resonate with Term Limits Now. I like Think Out Swap. I have a whole wardrobe of these shirts. I wear them all the time. And the Term Limits Now shirt, which you can buy at shopconventionofstates.com, and get it yourself in case you don't win that shirt. But that's super popular in getting comments and interaction from people, which I really like. That's one of the reasons why I wear so many Convention of States type t-shirts. So here's our giveaway question for today, the trivia that hopefully will help you to not only win the shirt, but to learn something as well. Many of you know 15 of the 34 states required to pass the Convention of States Article 5 application to call a convention have been passed. Now, there's three key subject matters when it comes to our Convention of States action application. And that's our question for today. There's three key subject matter areas in our resolution that set the agenda for the convention. What are those three areas? Go ahead and get your fingers going on that keyboard. Let's get those answers out so everybody who doesn't know can understand. And if you're the first one, you'll win the prize. Now I'll turn it back over to Rita, and I'll see you guys at the end of the show.
This Wednesday, we are delighted to announce that Rick Santorum will join the latest edition of COS at Home, our series. Go to conventionofstates.com to sign up and tune in Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Now, before our big interview with the State Director for COS Kentucky, let's get a sample of what's going on across the country for Convention of States. In this week's edition of COS Field Reports, David in Louisiana has the scoop. Over to you, David.
Hello, Convention of States supporters. My name is David Dwaron. This is the afternoon of Sunday, August the 22nd. I'm reporting from Houma, Louisiana at a local civic center. There is a town hall meeting scheduled for this afternoon. Speakers will include some government officials as well as some medical professionals. I'm here because there's a Convention of States team that has a booth. Let's go inside and talk with them to find out what's on the agenda and why they're here.
Yeah, my name is Dale Prosperi. I'm a district captain with the Convention of States for District 52, which is in Houma. I'm at the For You By You event, which is basically a town hall meeting in support of our constitutional rights. People are awakening to the fact that our freedom of speech is being trampled on, and we have to stand up.
We're now going to speak with John Harmon with the Convention of States. John, tell us a little bit about your role with the Convention of States.
Well, I started out a couple of years ago. I retired and was looking for something to do, and ran into the Convention of States. Mark Levin had written a book called The Liberty Amendments. I read that book and I said, you know what, this could actually work.
Hello, my name's Dawn Prosperi, and my husband, Dale Prosperi, is one of the local leaders that help with the Convention of States, so I came today to help them out. I think this was a great turnout. They had a lot of people sign the petition, and even if they weren't sure today, they took the information home, and I'm sure we're going to get some more today. People do want to get involved. They just don't know what they need to take the steps, so I think that's what's wonderful about Convention of States, because that way it can keep you informed on some local issues and legislator issues, and just to see some fellow people here that support you and have the same beliefs and can work together.
Well, COS reporters, that's the end of my report here from Houma, Louisiana. I hope all of you are as encouraged by what you heard today from the COS Louisiana team on the ground. Let's keep the faith and continue to build that grassroots army.
At this time, I would like to introduce you all to Mary Jo Wedding, who is the State Director for Convention of States, Kentucky. Mary Jo, welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Legislative activity for our state legislatures typically slows down over the summer months, and we don't see a lot going on. But things are actually heating up again across the country, including in the Commonwealth of Kentucky. Can you share, Mary Jo, what happened from your perspective at last Friday's hearing?
Well, actually, quite a bit. Actually, it started after session ended, where normally everything goes dormant, and we decided that we weren't going dormant in March. So what we did is we just pretended as if session was still in force, and we continued to attack on legislative side, meeting with different legislators to move forward. We had been trying to get a legislative hearing in the interim session, and repeatedly I was meeting and asking, and the last response was, if we didn't have our resolution pre-filed ahead of time, we wouldn't be put on the agenda. And at that time, my response was, well, I can't accommodate that because my legislative sponsors weren't in that position that they wanted to pre-file. So we kind of turned down that option, or that little carrot that they dangled for us to pre-file it. And so that's kind of where we thought it was going to be, but we wanted to still make a presence known. So we still organized our volunteers and supporters and the signers, and we were going to the state fair whether we were on the agenda or not. So we started 7 weeks ago, ramping up, getting petition signers out and about, and tried to gather as many individuals to come to the state fair just to sit in the meeting and show their presence regardless. So that's kind of how it started.
Well, Mary Jo, I was streaming the committee hearing live, so I got to witness the whole thing. And I will tell you, you and your team just knocked my socks off. It was so impressive. And Mark Meckler, who testified alongside you that day, he said that you had written out prepared remarks, but that when the time came, you actually put your remarks aside and decided just to speak from your heart. What led you to do that? Tell us about that.
Well, there are some legislators, when you're in a committee hearing, you can look around the room, right, while everyone, and we were the second on agenda. So the group that spoke before we did, you could watch the body language of the legislators, and there were two in particular legislators that appeared to be in a position where they wanted to be somewhere else but not there. And the more they fidgeted with the phone and the more they goofed off and cut up in the corner, the more a little bit agitated I became, I'll be honest, because time and time again when you speak to a legislator, their response is, well, those petitions that you send me are just canned responses. Everybody will sign a petition. And so that just kind of built from there. And when it was my time to speak, that was the only thing that was in my mind at the time, is not recognizing that our petition signers and the supporters and those that were there that day were real people, real voters with real concerns, and they wouldn't be heard.
Now, my name again is Mary Jo Wedding. I am a lifelong Northern Kentucky resident. I've lived here my entire life, actually right across the river from Cincinnati in Senator Schroeder's district. And it's important here today that I'm coming to you as a concerned citizen about the condition of our constitutional republic. But most important, it's not really who I am or where I come from, it's the people that are sitting behind me. It's the 35,000 petition signers. Now I know you guys say, oh, I get these emails and I don't pay any attention because they're canned emails. Well, they may be canned emails to you guys, but let me tell you what happens when a citizen signs a petition. The first thing is we take it manually if they don't do it online. Secondly, we have a team of volunteers that actually physically calls that petition signer. They call them, they thank them for signing the petition, and then they ask them, do you have any questions? Do you understand what Article 5 is? Do you understand what we're trying to do? If they don't answer the phone and we have to leave them a voicemail, we leave them that message. We also send them a text message and we send them another email. Because those petition signers and those emails that always are discarded, I know, I understand, you get tons of emails, I get it. They're real people. They're real people and real voters. This room today is filled with convention estates, and I didn't pay these people to come. I did give them a t-shirt to wear. All right? So I appreciate them coming out. But these people are the voters. These are the individuals that need to know that you are supporting their choices and making sure that when you take that oath to defend the Constitution, you're actually defending their liberties. Again, I said there's 35,000 petition signers, but that's not all of the volunteers. Those are just the ones that will sign the petition. There's some conservatives that won't sign a petition. They won't put their name on the dotted line, but they're here and they support Article 5. It is within your constitutional duty to call an Article 5.
I have watched and listened to so many legislative committee hearings for COS, and I've never heard anyone take that approach before of explaining all of the time and energy that goes into your team following up with every petition signer and just emphasizing, the personal nature of signing a petition and what that represents. Also, it was so beautiful to see the room just packed with those COS t-shirts that just grabbed everyone's attention from the start. Representative Matt Lockett delivered a strong introduction for the resolution at the hearing. What can you tell us about his leadership to spearhead the legislative effort in Kentucky?
Well, when we first started, we received our sponsors, and we actually have two primaries this time around. So when we received our sponsors, we actually had one legislator that wanted to be the primary, and Matt Lockett was the second, or the co-primary. And our original primary sponsor thought they didn't have enough time or enough knowledge or whatever the issue was to lead the charge. So when I first met with Matt Lockett, the very first time I sat down with him prior to all of this, I sat down, we met at Panera's, and I introduced myself, and he said, I want to sponsor your resolution. And I said, well, I didn't even ask you yet. He said, I'm on board. And so in our original primary said he had spoken to Matt, and Matt's like 100%, I'm on board. So he was ready. He was ready to, and he's wholeheartedly behind it. And then, of course, we have another co-sponsor who's wholeheartedly behind it. So we actually have 2 primaries. So that works out real well. And he's great. He's receptive. He contacts me. I contact him. He's just a really good guy to work with. So
that is wonderful for Kentucky. I'm so happy to hear that. And Mary Jo, I think sometimes people, they see people like you, a state director, you're so articulate, you are so passionate and energetic, and it's easy for people to forget that you are a volunteer for this. This is not a paid job for you. You are a volunteer. So can you just tell us your COS story? What has led you to be so passionate about this that you're willing to volunteer so much of your time and energy to Convention of States?
Well, I originally actually started in 2016. Prior to coming on board in 2017, I did a year's worth of research on Article 5, Convention of States, and then I looked into all the opposition. So before I actually made that leap, it was about a year I did research. And then once I came on board, I came on as a district captain, wanting to learn more. And then within 2 or 3 weeks, we had a Capitol Day, and that was my first exposure to the legislative body. And when Grant Martin, our regional director, said, would you be our legislative liaison? It's like, yes. It had me hooked at that point in time. The legislative side is where I spend majority of my time. And so I stepped out for a short period of time because I actually ran for office. So I stepped out, not successful, I might add, and then I came back. And when I came back, then Grant asked if I would be the state director. And that was a little over a year ago. And it's like I hesitated because legislative was the side that I wanted. But I have a good group of team leaders. I have a co-director, Brett Green. So we have the ability to work with one another closely. And we've been working together for so many years that we're like family. So if I get out of line, they have no problem telling me that. And then I have no problem telling them when they do. So we're a tight group, and that makes a difference.
That's great to hear. Well, why don't you tell our listeners what's next for the Kentucky team? What do you expect to happen in the coming months? And if somebody is watching tonight and is from the state of Kentucky, what can they do to help and get involved?
Okay. So right now, currently, we are finishing up our, we kind of came down off the high of the state fair. So the one thing that we did do to keep us relevant and active during the off time we created a legislative newsletter, and we send that out every 2 months. And so during the off session, because we have short sessions, 45 and 60, and so we created a newsletter, and so we'll continue to do that. And when we do that, we bring the volunteers together. They come, we meet, we have lunch, we put the legislative newsletters together, and we actually mail them to our legislators. So we do that every 2 months, and we pick a theme. So that's we'll continue that through December. And then we've been working on we have one of our co-primaries who's working on the faithful delegate commission laws in Kentucky, since we don't have anything on that line. So he's also working on that. So while he's working on that, we're working with the legislators, meeting with the legislators. We go to Frankfurt twice a month, and we'll continue to do that through December. Our session starts in January. So we've got a big event coming up in September, which kicks off on Constitutional Day. So we're putting a lot of energy on that event. It's a big festival in the Jefferson County area, which is a big area in Kentucky. So for the most part, we all just gather together. We do a lot of library discussions, public discussions. We implemented that this summer. We'll continue that every month. We're in 3 or 4 discussions in the community in different libraries throughout the state. So we'll continue to do that. And so anyone who wants to volunteer or wants to help out, we have some that can't commit to a volunteer all the time, but they come and help out from time to time, and we welcome everyone. So they can either call me directly or they can email me. For the most part, my phone number and my email is everywhere, I think, across the state. So I'm open to any part of communication. Any help, any ideas, we welcome them all. So.
Well, I am just so impressed by your level of activism and engagement. You know, you and your entire Kentucky team over this interim session when the legislature in the state's not actually meeting, but they're mostly at home in their home districts. That is such an important time. In fact, probably the most important time as far as an opportunity to win their support and get their attention. So
right, they have so much downtime. Yeah, they have downtime. So you can have it. I mean, it's not uncommon to have an hour-long conversation with a legislator, and it can be about anything. And that's the one key thing that we kind of enforce, or we continue to move forward. Get to know the legislator, know your audience, and that's kind of my word of every Monday night. Know your audience. Who are you talking to? What drives them? What's important to them? You don't have to attack them on COS every single time you talk to them. Be your friend.
It's all about relationship. You've got it. Well, Mary Jo, on behalf of the entire Convention of States national team, I just want to say thank you again. We were blown away by you and your team and your performance at that committee hearing. It was a sight to behold, and we were also encouraged by it. And thanks for being on our program today.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks a lot, Rita. All right.
And now we'll go back to Mike for the answer to our Article 5 trivia question.
All right, I'm back to give you guys the answer to our trivia question of the day. And remember, it's not a Think Outside the Swamp shirt that you can win, or you maybe did win. It is our Term Limits Now shirt. And we'll even give it to you in your size. Tanya will reach out to you and find out what size you wear. And if you didn't win, go to shopconventionestates.com and, of course, pick out anything you want from the store. There's 13 different shirts that we have up there, and you'll, I'm sure, find one that resonates well with you. But in the meantime, let me repeat the question and give you the answer to our Article 5 trivia. The answer was, we have 15 of the 34 states necessary to pass the Convention of States Action Article 5 application to call an Article 5 convention. There's 3 key subject matters in that resolution that set the agenda for the convention. The question, can you name all 3 subject matters in our Article 5 convention? And the answer, term limits. Now that could be for federal officials. It could be for elected officials. It could be for bureaucrats. It could be for judges. That's 1, term limits. 2, fiscal restraints on the federal government. With over $28 trillion in debt, do you think we could use some of that? And the 3rd one is limits on the scope and jurisdiction of the federal government. Do we want to get the government out of our lives? Do we want some of the controls that they're putting on us to be reduced? As long as any of those amendments would be germane or relevant to those 3 things, that is what we could be putting forward, on an Article 5 convention. That's what it's all about. There's the answer to our question. Again, if you didn't win, go to Shop Convention States and grab one. And now back to you, Rita.
Too many Americans don't know about this power that was gifted to us by the American framers. The founders knew that this day might come, and that's why they included Convention of States in Article 5 of the Constitution. We do this show every week to reach, teach, and activate Americans with the constitutional solution that's as big as the problem. We believe the best days for America are ahead, but only if we do what it takes. It won't happen by osmosis, and it certainly won't happen by just watching this broadcast. Millions of Americans have already signed our petition, and thousands of volunteers across the country are doing the work required to restore this republic. These heroes need your help. If not you, then who? If not now, then when? Like the founders, we must act. This is the moment when history is made. If you're ready to take your place among the Americans who did whatever it took to save the republic, sign up for one of the volunteer roles with COS. For example, as a district captain, you'll help welcome and educate other COS supporters in your local area and be proactive in raising grassroots support. We'll give you all the training you need and plug you into a community that engages in the only solution as big as the problem. If you'd like to learn more about being a district captain, go to conventionofstates.com and click the Take Action tab to get started. Finally, don't forget to follow us on Rumble, MeWe, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Parler, and Instagram. You can also listen to this program and other historic legacy content on our new podcast. Search Convention of States on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Podbean, Amazon Music, or Audible, and leave us a 5-star review because that helps the show to grow. Text the word START to 54555 to bypass big tech and make sure you receive important news and messages directly from COS. That's START to the number 54555. Check out The Battle Cry with COS President Mark Meckler Sunday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And we'll see you back here next Tuesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time for another edition of COS Live. Remember, if you're looking for the person who's going to restore the Republic, don't look to DC. What you really need to do is just hold up a mirror. Thank you for watching.